Hi everyone, hope you're all well. Today I'm going to take you through a strength-based gym session that I do on a one-game week where I'm playing Saturday to Saturday, where there's no midweek games in between. But first, let's ask the question, why do we train strength as a goalkeeper? Well, goalkeeping is a power-based position, and power is underpinned by strength and speed. So if we train the strength aspect of this, it can help to develop our overall goalkeeping performance. In addition to this, the strength of a muscle can dictate its recovery rate. So a stronger muscle equals a faster recovery time. Strength also plays a massive part in injury prevention. So the stronger and more mobile you are as an athlete, the more robust you are, the more available you're going to be for training and games. Now, prior to doing this session, I'd done a yoga session, so my body was already feeling pretty loose and ready to go. So I started off with a nice and easy movement flow and finished off with some self-guided stretches. I then moved on to some banded shoulder mobility work just to make sure the shoulders were nice and prepped for the session as well, before going into some squats, lunges and lateral lunges, again just to pre-prep the lower body for the stuff that's going to be going on later on in the session. I then moved on to some core activation, which is massively important when lifting, to make sure we can maintain a proper posture and technique when lifting to help reduce the risk of injury. And I finished off my warm-up with some injury prevention work, so I did some Copenhagen dips. Now, these help to strengthen your adductors, which is your inner thigh muscles, your groin muscle. And having just injured that area 2 months ago, I'm now trying to bulletproof it so I don't get injured again. Now, as we finished our warm-up, we go on to the first exercise, which is the trap bar deadlift. But first, it's important to note that we can't be going straight in and working at 80-90% of our 1 rep max straight away because we will get injured. So we need to prime the body for the deadlift itself. So what I do is I'll find a weight that feels comfortable and I will slowly build up the weight until I reach the working weight. So let's talk about why I'm using the trap bar deadlift as opposed to a conventional deadlift. The trap bar deadlift has been shown to enable athletes to produce greater force and speed of movement throughout the lift when compared to the conventional deadlift, meaning that over time we could be facilitating greater strength gains. I've also found that when doing a conventional deadlift, I've been significantly more sore than when I do a trap bar deadlift. Now, when training on the pitch, we want to be as fresh as possible. Therefore, using the trap bar deadlift will allow us to get those strength gains in without taxing the body too much. So we're fresh for our grass-based sessions as well. Now we move on to a banded dumbbell bench press. Now you notice first of all I'm not using the bands. This is just because I'm using a few sets prior to my actual working sets to warm up, just to make sure that my chest and the area around that is nice and activated and we're minimising the risk of injury. Using bands instead of heavier dumbbells to overload the concentric part of the exercise allows us to increase the demand for type 2 muscle fibre activation on the upward concentric phase without the increased demand during the downward eccentric phase, which would lead to increased muscle soreness post-workout, which as athletes we don't want. The muscles in and around the shoulder joint need to be strong as a goalkeeper to deal with the actions we perform during training and games, for example, the impact of diving. And I do train my shoulders at the end of my power sessions, which I do detail in another video, which I will link in the top right. So during my strength sessions, I like to focus on the other muscle groups in and around the shoulder. I'm using a dumbbell pull-up. I think it's a great way to train the upper posterior chain. Now I use a closed grip as opposed to a wide grip, as it's much safer to load up. The last main exercise that I use in this strength workout is the dumbbell split squat. Now with this exercise we're working on single leg strength, and it's something that I personally felt like I wanted to work on, which is why I've added this in. Now single leg strength is massively important for goalkeepers. If you think about all the actions that we'll do in a game or training, we're thinking about diving, kicking, jumping, they're all done predominantly off one leg, so making sure everything that's firing properly when using one leg is massively important, and the dumbbell split squat is a really good tool for making sure this can happen. And the final exercise we'll do in this workout is a Paloff Press. It's focusing on anti-rotation. Now, as goalies and as athletes, we want to make sure we're strong and stable in all planes of motion about the spine. So throughout the week, I'll make sure I'm hitting anti-rotation, anti-extension, and anti-flexion. The Paloff Press is a great exercise that I like to use to train anti-rotation. So that was how I train strength as a goalkeeper. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you found it valuable. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see how I train, and if you have any questions, please do drop them in the comments down below. Thanks once again for watching, and goodbye for now.